Hey everybody. As you've probably come to expect by now, the Saturday video is of the cards I picked up drafting on Friday night, and I'm going to file them all away. Where I draft, it's not really sanctioned draft, but it's kind of, sort of, almost a Friday Night Magic. I don't know what you want to call it. It's okay. And basically what we do is we draft 2 packs of Besieged and 1 Scars, and all of your rares and foils go into a common prize pool at the end of 3 rounds, except for 1 keeper. And then, depending upon how many people are present, first place gets 3 to 4 picks. Second place gets 1 pick fewer than first, and usually third place and below only gets 1 pick each. And then you cycle back to whoever was in first, and everyone picks 1. And generally everyone walks away with a handful of cards. Granted, after first and second place are done, there usually isn't anything terrifyingly fantastic remaining. Oh well. But, it's fun and whatnot. And so, first draft I ended up with something really interesting. Alright, I'm looking at, it's a 40-card draft deck. I ended up running 10 plains and 6 mountains, a Mem Knight, four Ardent Recruits. It's a 1/1 for a single white mana that gets +2/+2 on Metalcraft. They're normally not a good card, I'll be perfectly blunt on that, but you know what, I had a lot of artifact running around. I also had 2 Copper Carapace, 1 colorless artifact, equips for 3 colorless. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and can't block. And a Sylvok Lifestaff. 1 colorless equips for 1 colorless. Equipped creature gets +1/+0, and if that creature is put into the graveyard from play, you gain 3 life. That's nice. It's not great, but it's nice. I got 4 Leonin Sky Hunters. Yeah, that I thought that was wacky too. A Burn the Impure, 2 Shatters, Sunspear Shikari, and a Glinthawk Idol. My 3 slot was a Brass Squire and a Barbed Battle Gear, both good cards. My 4 slot was a pair of Chrome Steeds and Into the Core, and my 5 slot was a Strandwalker. One of the things I learned about this, I found out about this deck, which I expected, is this deck is, for a draft deck, this thing is more than capable of just exploding out of the gate and just wreaking utter havoc. Granted, the removal is pretty much all red. A pair of Shatters and Into the Core, and Burn the Impure. And I'll tell you something perfectly honest. Into the Core won me a few games by just opening up an attack angle for me, and just letting me plow through my opponent. And that, and heavens forbid, especially with 2 Copper Carapace, the Mem Knight, and the Lifestaff, I was usually able to get Metalcraft very quickly. And amazingly enough, the Glinthawk Idol never touched my hand. I never drew it. Never drew it. It's kind of funny. Actually, do I even have any rares in this deck, now that I'm thinking about it? No, it's like all commons and uncommons. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, no rares in this deck at all. And it just tore people apart. I mean, I was undefeated. I mean, 3 rounds, and I swept all my opponents 2-zip. So anyone who tells you that in a draft the rares are going to be your most powerful cards, sometimes they will, but not always. So if they tell you just draft the rare, they're full of crap. I mean, they're so full of crap their eyes are brown. More brown than mine, I might add. My eyes, they're pretty darn brown. But then, second draft, ended up going black-white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Went with, looks like 8 swamps. Let me put this down for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry, 9 swamps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 plains. And a contested war zone, which was a very late pick, actually. I wasn't too impressed with how Warzone ended up working out for me last week, so I was very hesitant to take it, and I ended up grabbing it as a late pick, and it was kind of 50-50 for me. The one game it worked out well for me, another game it didn't, but that's because I made a tactical goof, put bluntly. Coincidentally, the second draft was really weird because it was only a 4-man draft. So that's nowhere near normal, to say the least. I don't recommend doing 4 men in a draft. 5, I think, is more the practical minimum, but we did 4 anyway because there were only 4 people willing to hang out for a second draft. And it's a very weird dynamic. A lot of people who are used to drafting with 8-man pools, you're going to get screwed up by it because stuff's going to come at you a lot faster than you expect while you're drafting. It's going to be a lot harder to figure out who's playing what because it's going to be weird. I mean, and you're going to see weirdness. I end up with a copper carapace, a fume spitter, an origin spellbomb, and a vector asp in my 1 slot. They were all okay. I ended up going 2-1 in the first round, 2-1 in the second, and I got beat 1-2 in the third round. Amazingly enough, I still took first place. So I took first place both times tonight, which I thought was awesome. That's probably my best showing ever. My 2 slot was a Flenzermite, a Silver Mirror, a pair of Plague Mirror, a Bladed Pinions. What's funny about the Pinions, I ended up drafting that over, I believe it's a Koldatha Flame Fiend. It's a 6 mana for a 4/4. When it comes into play, you sacrifice an artifact. Well, you may sacrifice an artifact, and if you do, you deal 4 damage divided as you choose between up to 4 target creatures and players. And honestly, normally the Flame Fiend is a better choice. I'm not going to lie about that. But I took the Bladed Pinions because Infect does a lot better with First Strike, and there aren't a lot of ways to give your Infect creatures First Strike in a draft. There's maybe like, in this draft environment, I want to say there's only like 2. Pinions and the Viridian something or other claw thingy. I can't remember what it's called. Also in the 2-drop slot, I had a pair of Divine Offerings. Those are nice. 3 drops, I had a Brass Squire and a Barbed Battle Gear and a Morbid Plunder. That came in handy. Strider Harness, not so much. It's a solid card. Yay! A Mimic Vat. Yeah, as you can tell, because I actually ended up like taking out of the prize pool some of the cards I used in the deck, which is kind of funny because I don't usually do that. But the Mimic Vat was really nice because I was able to use it to appropriate my opponent's Blight Widow, the 2/4 reach Infect Spider. Oh, that was beauteous. That was beauteous. Oh, and a Priest of Norn also in the 3 slot. I keep thinking he's a 4-drop for some reason, but he's a 3-drop, and he's solid, and heavens forbid it, you put Bladed Pinions on him, 1/4 Vigilance, First Strike, Flying, Infect? That's kind of wacky, and I like it. My 4-drop slot consisted of a trio of Time Strikes. People didn't like that. And a Draw Stripper. I don't particularly like him, but he filled the slot, and there were plenty of times during the game I wish that his inflation ability, his +1/+1 ability, was cheaper to activate than 2 colors and a black. I mean, I really wished it was cheaper because that's a very mana-intensive ability, and there were so many times when I'd play him and I needed him to be 4/4, and it just wasn't happening. In a pair of Scourge Servants, I don't think I'd ever played them in Constructed, but in Draft, they're not flashy, but they're a lot more solid than you expect them to be, and I think I've mentioned that before. But, I walked away with, I mean, between coming in first and 2 separate drafts, I walked away with a bunch of stuff, and also during the night I picked up some other cards in trade and such that I had usage for, and so forth and whatnot. Picked up a March of the Machines, which I actually have a lovely combo I want to use with Kids and Smart Stuff. Oh, I also picked up a pair of the Super Sexy Liliana Vess. It's a promotional Liliana Vess. I guess it's supposed to be tied to the Duels of the Planeswalker game for like home consoles. I don't know if it's available for PC or not. I don't really know the game. I've never played it. I've only heard like a little bit about it. I've heard some people complain that it's dumbed down. I don't know. I've never played it. Though from what little I've heard, I'm better off just playing regular Magic and maybe Magic Online. But yeah, I did really well tonight. Finished sort these suckers out, get them filed away, and yeah, it's probably the best draft I've ever had. And the competition down where I play is kind of interesting because you've got a handful of people that really know what they're doing, and you've got a handful of people that really don't. And I try to help the guys that really don't. I probably put myself in the upper 25%, but I don't normally put myself in like the top 10%, you know. I don't usually come in first or second, but I've been doing a lot better lately. I don't know why. Then we had one fellow who showed up tonight who ended up dropping after 2 rounds. The guy whines constantly, and he's a solid player. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's a really solid player. But I think I might have mentioned him before. The dude's a total douche canoe. Totally. But I'm not going to name names because just on the off chance he or someone who's friendly with him finds out that I said something, I don't want to cause problems. So, yeah. But so yeah, here it is, guys. I mean, I had fun. For the most part, a lot of these cards were, that I drafted, they're good, they're solid. Some of them are really good. I mean, some of them are just really ho-hum. When you're drafting, never undervalue your workhorse cards. A card does not need to be flashy to get the job done. And like that weenie deck I showed you that I had from the first draft, quantity is sometimes a quality all of its own. When you have multiples of solid workhorse cards and you use them right, they will carry the day for you. Period. End of state. So like if you're drafting like M11, Magic 2011, if you open up a booster pack, unless your rare or your uncommons are redunculous, if you see a lightning bolt in there, you probably want to take that first. Yes, I will tell you to first pick a common, because lightning bolt is nutty. It really is. It's a great card. So happy it's back in print. You better leave it in 2012, Wizards. Do you hear me? Leave it in there. It's a good card. We like it. We want it. We love it. We'll raid your headquarters if you don't. Yeah, that's an idle threat, but that's okay. It's made in jest. Alright. Have a good one, fellas. Be safe.